Do you need to train to failure to achieve hypertrophy? No, not at all. Is it better to train to failure to achieve maximal hypertrophy? Maybe. Well, I'm sure many of you have heard about the new meta-regression that showed that training to failure produced higher hypertrophy rates than leaving reps in reserve. So what do we take from this? Well, I would say that it is points for the team of training to failure. However, I wouldn't say this is the slam dunk victory that some people have been writing home about. Now, here's why. For starters, this is a meta-regression of 55 studies, and most of these studies were done from somewhere around 2 to 4 months, and it showed a significant difference in hypertrophy between these. But is that going to remain true for 3 to 4 years of training? I'm not exactly sure. And it's also just one variable of your training. How much does volume matter in this? How much does just consistency in the gym and your own psychological enjoyment of this matter? And how much does accurately being able to determine when you're actually achieving failure matter? Because we already know that most people are terrible at guessing their reps in reserve, and a lot of people will quit and say that that is failure, when in reality, if they could probably do 5 to maybe even 10 more reps. So how would I apply this for athletes that are wanting to get bigger and stronger? Well, I would say a mix of both. I would still do quite a few sets, especially with my bigger barbell movements. Not the failure, leaving reps in reserve. And now I'd look at those mostly to focus on getting stronger. However, I think it is probably a good idea to take your smaller movements, especially your isolation movements, and occasionally at least take them all the way to failure. For one thing, if you do that, you'll at least know what failure actually feels like for those individual muscles. And you can get that without accumulating significant systemic fatigue. Taking a set of bicep curls to failure is not going to hurt you that much. And it also depends on your overall goals. Are you purely a hypertrophy athlete that only cares about trying to get bigger? Or are you a strength athlete or even a sports athlete that has performance goals as well? If you're purely just a bodybuilder, even recreational, yeah, train to failure more often than not sometimes. If you have performance goals, probably leave some reps in reserve more often than not. At the end of the day, the most important thing is being consistent in actually working hard in the gym.